Well, thank you, Chairman Vorpagel and committee members for hearing AGR 77. And we'll start with a quote from Ben Franklin that we are all aware of. When asked what type of government was created, he responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." And at this point in our history, our federal governance system is broken. It's ineffective, but yet dictates to us, the states, what to do, how we have to operate, and the mandates that come forward out of Washington are certainly burdensome and don't have the state's input in them. I want to thank Senator Tiffany for being my lead in the state Senate. He's not here today, but I did want to reference some of his testimony at times. So the public is also fed up with our federal governance. There's no confidence left in our federal governance. I think we've seen that in poll after poll. We have to decide as state legislators, do you want to continue to be subject to regulation coming out of Washington from a Trump administration, from an Obama administration, whenever the current administration will be forward, do we want to continue just to be dictated to by those administrations? Or do we want to exercise our authority as granted to us in Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution? And that's the opportunity to come forward to a convention with our fellow states and reunite to consider amendments to the Constitution. So AGR 77 is very simple, allows the legislature to apply to Congress, so it's an application, under Article 5 provisions of the U.S. Constitution, to call a convention of states strictly limited to proposing amendments to the Constitution that impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and limit the terms of office for officials and members of Congress. So those are the parameters of the convention. The resolution does not call for a specific amendment to be proposed, and instead would allow the states to find solutions to the problems facing our nation. Though the federal government is broken, the states are actually pretty strong. Here in Wisconsin, we're in very good shape overall, and the states obviously created the federal government, and now is our obligation to exercise that authority that was granted back to us through the Constitution. The Constitution itself, we refer to it, what some of us carry around, the pocket constitutions, about 30 pages. You'll see, I think you probably even see a prop of the current Constitution or near the current Constitution that has blown up to about 3,000 pages because it's become a series of court rulings based on executive orders. So there's a number of reasons from Senator Tiffany that he's supporting this joint resolution. All are tied to frustration with the federal government. For years, I've heard constituents ask me why Congress can't pass a balanced budget, why members of Congress stick around so long, yet accomplish so little, and while the federal government continually sticks its nose in our daily lives. And that's from a congressional candidate as well that has made it part of his platform to proceed with a convention of states. Currently, the federal debt is more than $22 trillion. Federal deficits has hit $1 trillion. And in Wisconsin, when we sit down to craft the budget every 2 years, one of the requirements we have from the people of Wisconsin is that our budget must be balanced. Why? Because it's in our state constitution. 49 states have similar requirements, either in their constitution or in statute. The Founding Fathers created a process for states to push back when the powers of the federal government have grown too invasive. Our ability to rein in the federal government is well within our states' rights, and the time to act is now. The Convention of States resolution, as before you today, would curb the federal government's ability to spend recklessly, impose term limits, and reassert our 10th Amendment's states' rights. It's time to return more decision-making power to the states and to the people. People across our state and across the country agree. 15 states have already passed a similar resolution, and many others have proposed them in the state houses. It's time to send a clear message to Washington that their spending is out of control and that the encroachments on the liberty of the people is unacceptable. AGR 77 would accomplish that. Over time, we've experienced that the federal government, as well as the federal administrative state, have crept into every corner of our lives. It's time we reassert our rights, and it's really our obligation to reaffirm the age-old tradition of federalism as we continue to become a more perfect union. So today we have the opportunity to be patriots, not partisans, and exercise the authorities granted to us. I think we should honor the Founding Fathers' foresight by reuniting the United States through the Article 5.
Go to conventionofstates.com, press the button, sign the petition. More importantly, get 10 of your friends to do the same. When you sign the petition, then that sends a letter to your state legislator. You go on the list in their district as a supporter. We deliver those lists to the state legislators. It means something to them.